What force could be so terrifying, so incomprehensible, that it would drive 9 experienced hikers to tear open their tent from the inside and run barefoot into the freezing Siberian darkness? It was February 1959, the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union, a place where silence is louder than scream. 9 young hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set off on a journey they believed would be an adventure. But instead, it became one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. When rescuers found their bodies weeks later, what they saw defied all logic. Fractured skulls with no external bruises, missing eyes, a missing tongue, clothes radioactive, and a final photograph that has haunted investigators for decades. Official reports called it a compelling natural force, but conspiracy theorists whisper of military tests, yetis, or something even darker. For over 60 years, the Dyatlov Pass Incident has remained a frozen puzzle until today. Join us as we step into the dead mountain and try to uncover the truth. To understand the horror, we must first understand the victims. They were not amateurs. They were the elite.
Say that,
the group consisted of 10 students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Young, strong, and highly experienced in grade 3 winter mountaineering, the most difficult classification at the time. Their leader was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, a born leader, respected, tough, and brilliant. Their goal was Mount Otorten. In the local Mansi language, Otorten translates to, warningly, don't go there. A prophecy they would unknowingly ignore. On January 23rd, 1959,
I think I packed too many books this time.
Photographs and diaries recovered
You
from the
always
site
say
show
that,
them laughing,
Sasha.
playing the mandolin,
Here, let me
and
help
sharing
with that
jokes.
strap.
They were just friends
Don't
on an
forget the
adventure.
thermos.
One hiker reported that they were due to drink and had to turn back. He was heartbroken to leave his friends behind. He didn't know it then, but that illness was the only thing that saved his life. As Yuri waved goodbye, the remaining 9 marched into the wilderness. They had no idea that they were walking straight towards their own doom. Weeks passed. No telegram arrived. No word from the group. Families began to panic. On February 26th, a search party finally spotted something on the slopes of Kolatsiacho, the dead mountain. It was the tent, but it was wrong. It was collapsed and half buried in snow. But the most terrifying detail wasn't the snow. It was the cuts. Investigators determined that the tent had been slashed from the inside. Something had panicked them so badly that they didn't even use the door. They cut their way out and ran for their lives. Footprints led down the slope towards the forest edge. 9 sets of footprints, some wearing only socks, some a single shoe, some completely barefoot in minus 30 degrees Celsius. A mile down, under a large cedar tree, they found the first 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko. They were stripped to their underwear, lying next to the remains of a small fire. Their hands were burned, as if they had tried desperately to hold on to the flames for warmth. But the horror was only beginning.
Look
3
here.
other bodies, including Dyatlov himself, were found on the slope, as if they had been trying to crawl back to the tent. But the remaining 4 hikers were missing.
Dear
It took
God.
investigators 2 months to find them, buried deep in a ravine under 4 meters of snow. And this is where the case turns from a tragedy into a nightmare. Unlike the others, these bodies had horrific internal injuries. Nicolas Thibault Brignol had a fractured skull. Lyudmila Dubinina and Semyon Zolotaryov had major chest fractures. Experts compared the force
required to cause such damage to a car crash. Yet, strangely, there were no external
Look
bruises.
here.
It was as if they had been crushed by a massive, soft pressure. Disturbing. Lyudmila was missing her tongue and eyes. Semyon was missing his
Dear
eyes.
God.
And perhaps the most baffling clue of all, radiation. Beta radiation was detected on their clothes. Why would hikers in the middle of nowhere be radioactive? The Soviet government abruptly closed the case, sealing the files for decades. What were they hiding? So, what really happened on that frozen night? Over the years, dozens of theories have emerged. The first is the avalanche theory. It suggests a small slab avalanche hit the tent, forcing them out. This explains the cuts and the hypothermia, but experienced mountaineers argue the slope wasn't steep enough for an avalanche and the footprints were too calm for people running from a snowslide. Then there is the military test theory. Some believe the group accidentally stumbled into a secret Soviet weapons testing zone. Bright orange spheres were reported in the sky by other hikers that same night. Could a concussion ray from a bomb explain the internal injuries without external bruises? And the radiation? And finally, the darker theories. The Mansi legend. Some say they trespassed on sacred land. Or perhaps the infrasound theory, where the wind interacting with the mountain shape creates a low-frequency sound that induces panic and hallucinations. Each theory has a flaw. Each explanation leaves trailing questions. The mountain refuses to give up its secret. Decades later, a memorial was built on the pass. It bears the names of the 9 hikers who never returned. The plaque reads, "In memory of those who passed away," but leaves the cause of death blank. Recently, in 2020, new scientific models supported the avalanche theory. But for many, it's too neat, too convenient. It doesn't explain the fear. It doesn't explain the radiation. The Dyatlov Pass remains a place where logic goes to die. Perhaps we will never know what truly happened in those dark, freezing hours. But Igor and his friends were adventurers. They sought the unknown, and in a tragic twist of fate, they became the unknown. What do you think happened on Dead Mountain? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the mystery, please like and subscribe for more untold stories. Until next time, stay safe.